that way sometimes, where it kind of limits what you can do. And with Bryce Young, it's not like that.
Yeah, I mean Bryce is listed at 6 feet tall. I wonder how much. I kind of think he's Zach Wilson height, and Zach Wilson is listed as 6'2". I don't think I refuse to believe that about Zach Wilson. I think that Zach Wilson is like smaller than his listed height for whatever reason. I don't care what the combine said. They lied somehow. But
we should all get jobs at Pro Football Focus, huh?
India, we're not
little
in India.
Little cash on the side.
A little, yeah, a real little. We don't live in India, and I can't live on the 25 cents an hour. But let's go live here. Wait, are we live?
I'm tweeting out the link right now.
Epic.
Nice. Week 6 recap.
I'm just gonna say the live stream has been saved, and that's it.
NBA today.
Yes.
I really want to talk about these.
I'll throw and NBA preview in the title.
Yes, I would like to
talk about the quarterbacks.
I'd like to speak on the and National Basketball Association. Sixers and Warriors winning tonight, I fear.
All right. You guys ready? You guys ready? All right. We're going to do the do. Oh, wait. Let me move Matt's camera up a hair. Matt's camera really doesn't want to be in frame. All right, there. Whoopsie daisies. Uh-oh. All right. Transitioning. 3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Stay Hot live stream. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponauer and Theo Ash. Sorry the live stream took a little bit to get rolling. There were some technical difficulties, but we're here. We're alive. We're well. Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Played some more golf today. Keep getting a little bit better every time.
Real golf or Wii golf?
Real golf.
Okay.
It's fun. It's a good time. It was cold as hell today, though.
Yeah. I can't believe you went golfing today. It's like 30.
We power through.
I guess.
We had the whole course to ourselves.
More power to you, man. You're a better man than me.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I am. But
I'm good. My voice is getting better every day.
It is. I'm really happy to see it.
And it's basketball day. I wish it was basketball day yesterday. It was Monday night, and I know the football game was happening, and that was a crazy game. But I was like, I could kill to watch some basketball right now. And
it's funny. My basketball class actually got canceled today because my instructor got sick. So he said, instead of coming to class today, your job is to watch one of the games and write a 1-paragraph.
I'll do your homework for you for $5.
Bro's gonna do I'm gonna watch one of the games.
The Hawks, Kings, and Cavs, none of them are playing tonight, Blaiden. So what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
James Harden's playing. It's okay.
He squeaks by.
Also,
Something we were talking about for a little bit was the quarterbacks of this draft class. We started to look at them a little bit. I've started to have to shift into let's look at the prospects mode.
Yeah.
As a Panthers fan, I think we're all in agreement that
As a
Bryce
Panthers
Young
fan.
is QB1.
Which is not the and yes, this is I'm gonna have that's what my next all 22 video is on, and in my last one I talked about 3 just kind of random guys, which was Tyler Van Dyke, Anthony Richardson, and KJ Jefferson, and at the time Tyler Van Dyke was a potential first round pick, which I said is stupid. I don't see that at all, and since then that's been true. And this was right after Anthony Richardson's Utah game. So I was like, of the 3, like, that guy's nice with it, or nicer with it than the other ones. And, he has the potential for some disaster classes. So we'll see if he even declares. But the 3 of Levis, who gets the stay hot stamp because he has come on the show before. And Stroud and Young are the ones on
vibe check.
Well, there's some character concerns about quarterback prospects that don't come on to stay hot. So
Yeah.
Levis is the only one who's passed that test.
Facts. No, but Bryce Young, the plays that he creates for Alabama right now are truly remarkable.
But people get pissed at you. They get mad at you if you say this.
Who's
they don't want you to believe this. And I hate to say it as an Ohio State fan. Trust me. It brings me no joy to tell you that I have the Alabama guy over the Ohio State guy, but I think it's a little hard for me to not see what Bryce can do and have him as quarterback 1.
Yeah, the Bama roster is really just
They're not that good.
It's underwhelming this year. The Tennessee
Which is crazy because the college football playoffs are the same 4 teams. So how is this going to work? But
well, I don't know. I just remember watching the Tennessee game, and I'm like, man, these guys are dropping a lot of passes. The offensive line isn't blocking too well. Young's having to do a lot of work, like kind of by himself, and he was balling. But you look at like Stroud, and it's like, oh, he might have the best receiver in this draft class, and the best receiver in next year's draft class, and the best receiver in the following year's draft class. And he had the 2 best receivers in last year's draft class. So it's like, is he ever gonna have a situation to prove that he can actually be?
I don't think that you have to like look at what Stroud can do and say, no matter what, he has good receivers. So I don't buy it.
It's not no matter what, but it definitely doesn't help.
I see. I really disagree with you on this one. I think that you can tell whether or not a quarterback is making a good play regardless of their receivers.
Yeah, but like if you're throwing to guys that are, that was kind of one of my big things with Mac Jones is I was like, bro, he has 4 wide open receivers on every play. It's like what are we gonna do when you have to go into a league and you don't have any receivers open on any play, right? So that was my thing. Is it's like you're gonna go from playing on the best team against mid competition to go, and if you're the first overall pick, play on the worst team against NFL level players, and that transition is really hard.
Yeah, if you're gonna, I agree with what you're saying, Blaiden. Like, I think that you can almost throw out. Like, I think when you watch any prospect, you have to ask yourself after almost every throw, could the worst starter in the league make this? Worst, could if you put Daniel Jones at Ohio State, right? Could he make this throw? Or he's not the worst starter in the league, I guess. But
if you put PJ Walker,
if you put Justin Fields at Ohio State, could he make this throw?
The answer is yes.
Yes, most of the time. But I do think like you can't just throw out every single quarterback who plays on a stacked team because Joe Burrow's a pretty good quarterback. He played on maybe the greatest college football team ever. But the other thing that he did was have a season that was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, broke records.
He threw like 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns.
Hey, but so did Bailey Zappi.
Not in the SEC, he didn't.
True.
Not in the SEC, he didn't. But yeah, like Stroud is not Joe Burrow. He's not as good of a prospect as Joe Burrow was coming out, So and Joe Burrow had, I think, kind of an arm strength issue, and I would say that he still isn't like the best at throwing like rockets with no arc on it or anything like that. But his accuracy and his intangibles are pretty crazy, and I don't know if Stroud has the same level of creation that Joe Burrow does, even without the Joe Burrow's arm strength. But Stroud isn't like he's no Mahomes,
Right.
But yeah, Bryce Young, his pocket presence and ability to create something out of nothing is so insane. Yes, I think this year, even last year, Bryce Young won Heisman, but even from his bad games this year, I think you can tell more about him as a prospect because, like, he's actually having to create, like, it looks like what it might look like if he got drafted by a top 5 team and they don't have any good players around him. Like, that's kind of what it looks like for Alabama sometimes.
Right.
In the Texas game, he's getting killed, he's getting crushed, and the wide receivers are like, they wouldn't be a top flight NFL receiving core like they would be when they had Ruggs and Judy and Devontae Smith and all of those guys, or even last year with Jameson Williams and Mechie. Like it's just not like that this year. So we're actually seeing him have to like just get pummeled and still have to like carry an offense, which we haven't really seen from Stroud. And I think Young is rising to the challenge. So yeah.
I agree.
Yes. And Levis, I haven't watched so much yet, but I mean, I know that he's not playing with the world's greatest talent either. And we talked to him about this on the podcast, as he plays in a system that's a lot like the way the NFL is going. He plays in a system that comes from Shanahan, that comes from McVay, right? He is operating a system that is not so different than the one he will have to operate at the NFL level, most likely. And he's got some pretty crazy tools he had to throw. I sent you guys this in the group chat the other day where he was like fading away.
Yeah.
He was drifting away and then threw it like 65 yards to the corner of the end zone and hit his guy in stride. And it's like, whoa, that's some real talent right there. So yeah. So when you get that talent and someone who hopefully is familiar with NFL offenses, like that's pretty cool too. So I think there's a chance that I have Stroud at QB3 eventually. Maybe I'll have to watch more because I think Stroud really is crazy accurate, and he's tall and he's mobile, like to some degree. Yeah.
Someone said this is the best Week 6 recap and NBA preview ever, as we're talking about college football. Do we want to talk about the worst Monday night game? Every game the Broncos play in is just terrible. But I will say this much. Bengal put out this tweet. He was like, the reason why every Broncos game is boring is because Patrick Surtain just does not allow the number 1 receiver to do anything.
You guys, I'm sick of hearing about Patrick Surtain from you too. Talk about J.C. Horn.
Pat Surtain better, dude. I fear.
He stinks.
You don't mean that. Take it back.
Stinks. Nope. I mean it. I don't know. I think the Chargers are in like a fair amount of trouble. I don't even think just this season. I think long term, I'm a little worried about them. Their offense just does not have the juice. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Even when they get Keenan Allen back, I don't think that it will. Just the lack of like serious deep threats is pitiful, and it kills them.
Yeah, their weapons were so overrated going into the season, and I just remember talking about Tua, and like, yes, he's off to a good start, but Keenan Allen and Waddle are a big reason why, and I remember a bunch of Dolphins fans being like, why does no one say this about Herbert?
Or Tyreek
when he
and
was
Waddle,
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and it's like, dude, they're just not in the same stratosphere. Like, and there's so many curls in this offense. There's so many plays where they just catch the ball standing still, and they just get tackled immediately because none of them are that fast. it's just a bad offense. It's not dynamic. It's meant for Joe Lombardi. It's like meant for late stage Drew Brees, right? Like that's where Joe Lombardi comes from. It just is like a bunch of short throws, and
The 1 minute drill before overtime was probably the worst sequence of plays I've ever seen. Like that was truly embarrassing. The fact that like you think about what Josh Allen is able to do in a minute and what the Bills are able to do with that kind of with similar octave of a quarterback, march right down the field, score a touchdown. Easy. But the Chargers, you got 6'6", massive arm, and it's like it's not even an attempt to utilize it. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've seen Herbert do some crazy things before. Like last season, he was the most productive quarterback in football, I'd say, with 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns or whatever it was. I mean, he was just incredible. And you saw the Oakland game where there was 1,000,000 fourth downs, and every single time he would do something like out of this world and convert
4th and 22, just like.
But yet you just can't think of like the Herbert. He's just as talented as Josh Allen, and I don't think he runs like Allen does. He's not going to hurdle someone. He doesn't have that kind of like.
He doesn't have.
He doesn't have the dog in him. Like
he doesn't have that kind of mindset. But like as a thrower, he's as good as like anyone. Like he's so good. He's perfectly capable of that 90, like what we saw, like I think what you're referencing, Blaiden, that 99-yard drive in a minute that Josh Allen had at the end of the first half in the Chiefs game with the, moving around the pocket and the whole shots and the dime on the 9 ball. Like he can do all of that, but they just don't really, you can't really think of a game like a Herbert signature moment really when you think of, like you can for Allen. You can't really think of a Herbert masterclass game like you can for Allen when you think of like Herbert's career. Like, oh, remember when this, like it should have been that Raiders game when he completed all those fourth down throws, but they couldn't defend the run and they still ended up losing that game. So he hasn't been in the playoffs, but I don't know. It's just like isn't Herbert hurt? Like his ribs are broken? Like, yeah, but I mean, I think still like. Their coaching, I think Herbert needs to be freed a little bit. And yeah, their receivers are slow. J.C. Jackson is going to be a huge setback if he can't turn it around.
Up so bad with that one, man.
And I don't blame him. Like I didn't think that was a bad contract when it happened. So I would have probably also been fooled. But man, that's so like bad
on that sucker.
Yeah. It's a bad situation. And I don't know. The Chargers and Broncos both. The whole AFC West outside of the Chiefs just really seems confused.
Yeah, the coaching sabotages these rosters. Like, it's kind of what it seems like. It's like Andy Reid's a great coach and he's maximizing the Chiefs. If you put Andy Reid on these Chargers and Staley and Lombardi on the Chiefs, like I really think the Chiefs would be the Chargers and the Chargers would be the Chiefs. Like I really think that Hackett and Staley and McDaniels are kind of torpedoing talented rosters with a lack of identity and a lack of common sense a lot of the time. So
yeah,
we were so excited about this division.
Russ did start off the game hot. Like,
hey, he was cooking there for a minute.
Russ was like cooking something gourmet real quick, and then
he was preheating the oven for a second. He was doing some of that, but then it all came crashing down.
Too good to be true, I fear. But hey, 10 for 10, 100 and some yards and a touchdown. You take what you can get, I guess.
Chargers should have gotten Robbie. I don't know if that really fixes their problems, but there's a lot of teams that actually should have beaten that Robbie Anderson trade. I think I'm not mad at it.
It was a 6th in 2024 and a 7th in 2025.
The thing is like it's a scary contract, except the Panthers took all the dead money.
Yeah.
So he's actually getting paid like $600,000 this year by the Cardinals.
Yep.
So I'm kind of surprised that some teams weren't willing to give up a fifth, but then he's getting like $10 million next year, and you got to account for that. So I guess teams were looking at it as a long-term play. I think and the Cardinals, dude, they're so funny, man.
How many picks have they spent on receivers?
It's a lot. That was the one thing I was thinking is like they've spent a decent amount of assets on just receivers. You think about like Hopkins, obviously, and him coming back is huge. But they spent a first on Hollywood. 2 years ago, they spent a second drafting Rondell Moore. But like getting Robbie Anderson for a sixth, not even in like the 2024, and that's like nothing. A sixth and a seventh over like 2 years from now, like who really cares? I feel like at that point,
they've just invested so much.
Yeah, and here you can argue this. Like if any other team, if I told you, yeah, I had DeAndre Hopkins and I've also invested a first and a second, and I have like $10 million next year invested in my receiving core, you would think that's the best receiving core in football, or one of them. And you'd probably argue the Cardinals don't even have the best receiving core in their division. So
they don't.
Yeah, I mean they can add as many weapons as they want, and it doesn't solve their problem, which is Cliff Kingsbury just doesn't call good passing plays, and his concepts are all fucked up. I kind of like what he does in the running game, and when you see like what their running game was right before they got Cliff to right after, it's taken a huge leap, and he does some interesting things with the spread running game. But like the passing concepts, you see the passing charts where it's just D-Hop on the left exclusively, always as the left wide receiver, running like just a million out routes. You've seen those charts. Right. And then he gets Hollywood, and it's just the same exact thing. Just lines up on the left, and that's the only place he lines up.
Yeah.
It just is like you're just not a good coach. And the defense, all they can do is blitz. They're just completely different than any other defense, where it's just like, don't blitz Mahomes, don't blitz Rodgers, don't blitz Brady. They'll figure it out eventually because they know what you're gonna do. Cardinals don't care. They're gonna do it anyway. So it's just like fundamentally like, it's just a predictable team. It's a boring team. And like Robbie Anderson does not save them from their problems that start from the very top, which is just complacency with mid in the front office.
Yeah, they've also just been like really bad at drafting. Like really bad.
They're just not a good team.
Like they're not a good organization.
What was the last? I mean, Kyler Murray was a good draft pick, but other than Kyler Murray, what is
you get no points for taking the obvious number one overall quarterback.
I'll give him a little bit of credit because moving on from Rosen was slightly risky. Right. I mean, outside of that, like it's just an organization that's chasing cars in the road. Like, oh, we need linebackers, so we're gonna draft Isaiah Simmons. Oh, he's not good, so we're gonna throw another draft pick at Zaven. Kyler, we lost D-Hop. We got to trade for Kyler's college friend. It's just like they just use like these holes that pop up, and
they're too short-sighted. Yes. And this is where teams get themselves in trouble, is when they keep thinking like each move should be a good, especially with high draft picks, should be a good long-term move in its own right. And these teams get in the idea of like, how can we patch all of our holes to try to like make the playoffs next season? And that's just not the way that you should look at it. And this is why I'm more of a best player available type guy in the draft. And this is why, teams that go out and try to plug holes in free agency like that with big contracts, especially, oftentimes screw themselves over. And that's especially what the Panthers have been doing recently.
Right.
Not to keep bringing them up, but like that's how I feel frustrated with that. And a lot of teams do that. If you're picking, especially if you're picking the top 10, people talk like, oh, what do we need? Well, unless you are drafting a player who cannot have a reasonable way to start, like don't draft a defensive tackle if you've got two, Pro Bowl defensive tackles. Cough, cough, Dave Gettleman. But, outside of that, like just take the best players and if you want to fill holes, do that with, borderline guys in free agency for short 1-year contracts. But don't do what the Cardinals have done, which is like, oh.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it looks like now Marquise Brown is going to miss a significant chunk of the season, maybe out until December with a foot injury now, 6-7 weeks, something like that. And it's like, that's a big chunk of time to miss. And he's only got like this year and next on his deal. And then he's just free agent.
It's just a really, really bad value. That's the other thing about those wide receiver trades. It's like, you do have to remember, like, you are paying the guy as well.
Yeah.
And if you're spending, you know, I know they went from a first to a third, but like, that's pretty close to spending a first on a wide receiver who is questionable, who, you know, as far as like being a Pro Bowl talent, like he's not like that. And then you're going to have to go give him a big bunch of money. That's not good long-term team building. That is not how you do it. That's something that a team that is thinking very short-sightedly does.
Yeah. It's like, what is their ceiling? Like, what's the best case scenario for even coming into this year? Like, no one had the Cardinals winning the Super Bowl. No one. And it would have been stupid too. A lot of people had them in the playoffs because they were in the playoffs last year and they got Hollywood. But like even if their weapons are good and they can turn around and win a division that's looking kind of weak right now, like what is it overall? Like, what does that get you? It gets Cliff a little bit more leeway. That's
Right.
bad.
And that's why these teams do it, is because they're like,
time.
I'm going to get fired. Oh my God. What can I do right now, right this second?
There's no end game where this works. They're on a path that it's the Doctor Strange thing where he's like, I saw 42 million outcomes. It's like, how many do we win? One. But in Marvel, that one is the thing that's going to happen. In real life, the 41,999 things are what's going to happen. So, yeah.
The Cardinals think it's Spider-Man.
The Cardinals think the Russo brothers are directing there.
This isn't Endgame, guys.
This is not.
It might be the end of Cliff, though.
I don't know. They just gave him a big extension. I don't know if they're just gonna turn around and fire him. But yeah, we'll see. And I like D-Hop a lot, and I think that he's still got something left in the tank. And
we're starting him in fantasy this week.
I'm excited to see him again. But
We've been riding
truly-
him on the bench
it's
for
this, and
6
this
weeks.
is
We've been riding him on the bench for 6 weeks, and they're going to get up against the Saints, who got.
Are we 2-3 or 3-2?
We're 3-3 now.
3-3. Okay.
Yeah. We were so close to being 4-2, but
we got hosed.
Herbert and Mike Williams could not salvage 10 points.
That's horrible.
JC,
if JC Horn was on the Broncos, we would have won that fantasy game.
No.
Pat Surtain, he had Mike Williams in a snuggie.
He did.
But so we're gonna have D Hop back this week, and they're going up against the Saints. The Saints allowed big games to Lockett and Metcalf 2 weeks ago. Just got torched by Jamar Chase last week. Expecting a Week 7 domination by DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, the concern with that is, like, how long is D-Hop going to be one of these top flight receivers, really? And
hopefully the next year, maybe 2.
And then it's like you're going to be sitting there and you're going to say, we invested all this into receiver, and it's just.
Hey, at least you got D-Hop for a steal.
Yeah.
Basically robbed the Texans blind.
Yeah, but yeah. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Talk about the Dynasty League. Yeah, Blaiden, I beat you in the Dynasty League.
I know. I've totally forgot to update. I updated my lineup in every other league, and I was just like, and then I looked at the Dynasty League yesterday, and I was like, I had like 5 people on a bye.
You had like 3 players.
Yeah, it was bad.
In this one, I beat you 116 to 50.
Yeah, it was not my best performance, I fear.
Yeah, that one was a free win for old Theo.
You know, one of these days the Dynasty team's going to come around, and except I have Josh Allen on a bye this week, so.
You have Rodgers.
I do have Rodgers on the bench, and he's going up against Washington, so that actually might work out in my favor.
It doesn't help that I had a crazy team this week. My team was very nice. With Ramondre Stevenson, Diggs, Schuster had a great game.
Yeah. Juju did kind of go off.
He did. But
Waller's supposed to be back this week. He better.
Let's see. I've seen some people ask about the Falcons and how they're 6-0 against the spread this year. Arthur Smith Masterclass is all I've got to say. I want to see Ritter. I don't know if we're.
I mean, Mariota's playing all right.
Agree.
Right. They're in kind of a tough situation just because like you can unlock so much more if Mariota is not your quarterback. Like they're doing a good job with Mariota, and the designed runs and the crazy play action rate is like helping. But eventually you got to win a Super Bowl, you know, and you're just not doing that when you're kind of pigeonholing yourself with Mariota. So like it would be nice to know what Ritter has before the draft. So, but if you're in contention for the NFC wild card, which they might be because they're well coached and the offense has been playing well so far, and the secondary has been better than I thought it would be. So I don't know if that time will ever come where you start the other quarterback. You know, really so they're in kind of a tough situation in terms of their evaluation of the quarterback position. Or maybe, you know, they're not in range where they draft a quarterback. They go with Mariota next year and they maybe that's what I would do. You start Mariota the whole year, you see if you can make the playoffs in this week NFC, and then next year you almost Jimmy G and Trey Lance it, where next year you're just like, well, we're gonna go with Ritter no matter what. But I have no idea. What they're gonna do. They're too good for their own good. Yeah, it would be nice if they were bad enough to like give Ritter a shot. Like that would honestly be more helpful for their future than a wild card berth right now.
It's awesome, man. So many teams are doing that this year.
Seahawks.
It's all lining up.
That's what I posted a video yesterday. I was like, bro, we're like 2 months away from a scenario in which you get the Falcons, Seahawks, and Giants in the playoffs. Who would have?
I don't know if it'll really turn out like that.
It might not, but like, this wasn't even supposed to be a conversation.
I think one of those teams, well, maybe two of those teams will get in.
The Giants will probably get in. I could see like kind of all three of those top NFC East teams getting in at this point.
Well, then you've got one spot, and you've got Green Bay as well.
And Green Bay has not been very good, so I wouldn't have super high hopes.
But in terms of being better than the Falcons, yeah, they've got a fine shot of that. I mean, this is expectation. This is expectation. Packers are underperforming, Falcons are overperforming, but that doesn't mean that the Pack.
Yeah, it is expectations. Speaking of expectations, Matt, what do you expect for opening night of NBA?
Well, it's always here's the real take. It's very hard to predict single NBA games.
Yes,
because it usually just comes down to it doesn't all. This is an oversimplification, but it just comes down so much to like who's hot. But there's some things that I'm watching for very particularly. We are going to get a very good look at exactly how valuable Robert Williams is to the Celtics defense. And I think it'll be fine. Like, obviously, still, I think it's going to be really good. But they're in a tough spot because it's like, okay, we lost our defensive mastermind center. Al Horford, please go guard Joel Embiid, who's also a great defender. But it's like, you're going to go put him out there 35 minutes? And is this going to be the thing that the Celtics are doing? That would make me very nervous because if they lose Al Horford, that would be a big loss, and you really want to pace him. So I'll be interested to see how that goes and how the Celtics defense looks. It'll still be good, obviously. It'll still be great. You know, they have so many good defenders, but it's still a big loss. Losing your best interior defender, always going to kill you. I'm interested to see Harden. How much burst does he have? That's the big thing for me.
Yeah.
We're gonna if Harden. The 76ers are a good team regardless of how healthy Harden is, how much he's regressed. They're still going to be a good team because Tyrese Maxey could take another step. Tobias Harris still a good player, and obviously they have Embiid. And even if you only get like 50% of Harden, it's like that's still a pretty strong team. But there's the difference between them being like a serious contender and them being a team that's going to like fight to make it to the second round is his health. And while he could easily come out and play great tonight, and then taper off towards the end of the season. I think that there's also a world where, he could not look good tonight. So you're still rooting for him to really have that burst and be super involved. And I want to see the Joel Embiid, James Harden pick and roll at full strength. How could you not?
I mean, if you're expecting him to taper off at the end of the season, you at least want the starting point to be high.
Right? I don't know what to expect. I don't think anybody does. No one knows how healthy Harden is going to be. Anyone telling you they know for a fact is lying. James Harden doesn't even know.
I guarantee he's going to be.
I guarantee this.
He's all-star. Sorry.
Yes, and the Celtics coaching situation, I didn't realize just how inexperienced their current head coach is. If you look at the jobs he's had, it's been in like small. They're basically on their third string head coach because the Jazz hired their top assistant, and obviously their head coach got suspended. So they're on a guy that is not really a main character, or at least wasn't a main character on last year's Celtics team. Now I'm sure that he's good. Otherwise he wouldn't have been like the third one they asked or the second one they asked now that their other guy is gone. But are they good enough that coaching doesn't matter? They might be. I mean, you look at how good this team is defensively. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year. I'd argue that he's like their fifth best defensive player.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy just how good defensively their personnel is. Now, obviously, Time Lord's gone. I'm looking at ESPN right now. Their backup center is currently Blake Griffin. So like in the non-Al Horford minutes, like things couldn't maybe get rough defensively. So, that's a big what they throw at Embiid will be a really good challenge for that new coach. And that's definitely, I think, the most exciting thing to watch for is like, are the Celtics with an extremely inexperienced coach? Are they a team whose talent, because they've got a ton of talent with Brogdon there and all that, but like there now and all that, but like, are they good enough that coaching doesn't matter, or is it going to be maybe a little bit of a slow start with an extremely inexperienced head coach, kind of like we saw last year with their head coach in his first year, and of course they didn't really flip it until January. I don't think it's completely out of the question that it takes a while for them to find their identity.
Yeah. I think they're going to run a lot of the same stuff. I think their identity is going to be similar, but I think there's a lot of in-game things that are easier said than done that an inexperienced guy, may struggle with. As far as the Lakers-Warriors game goes, I mean, I'm excited for the normal stuff here, dude. What are the Lakers lineups going to look like is my big question going into this.
I think we're going to see Westbrook off the bench and AD at the 5. I think that's what they should do, and I think Ham is going to put his foot down and just
this is a good way to put it. It cannot be neither. It cannot possibly be neither. It must at least be one or the other. If it's neither, they're completely unserious.
Yeah.
Which they may be. LeBron might call an audible, and all of a sudden it's.
I mean, you would imagine Braun is at the 1, right?
Well, they're not going to have. I mean, maybe he'll run the 1 and offensively, but he'll be like their small forward or their power forward.
Like on the depth chart, he'll be listed as the 4, but.
Obviously, the offense is going to run through LeBron.
Going to run through. You're not. So
we'll see, man. Lonnie Walker is a starter for them, dude.
He doesn't have to be. What their lineup should be, what they should put out there, is it should be Nunn, Beverly, LeBron, Reeves, Anthony Davis. Although Reeves should be at the 3 and LeBron should be at the 4. That should be their go-to lineup. And then they have Toscano Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a little tough. I'm thinking about they've got Thomas Bryant who can run some of that. It's like they're just that Pacers trade away. They just don't quite have the role players before. It's like, you know how hard you'd have to work to make none of the lineups goofy. It's hard to do. So
Yeah.
It's really hard. Dennis Schroeder is unserious. Westbrook, in my opinion, is slightly unserious. Like Schroeder, especially, like that guy's worse than Westbrook, most likely. Like Schroeder is
this lineup is really lacking depth.
I see Matt Ryan. I'm looking at I see Matt Ryan, the fifth string small forward, if they need to call upon him. But we've seen the Colts games this year.
Yeah, we know what he's. Hey, but he's kind of tall, so maybe he can get some rebounds for you.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the Lakers are very good despite their star power. And I think they can do that Pacers trade, and I think they should do this Pacers trade. You've got LeBron James, who's very good when he was in last year still, but injured more. Like, you're reaching the end of the line here with LeBron, like, in terms of, like, an MVP candidate. Like, maybe you get a year, maybe you get, you know, him as an all-star going forward and not, you know, an MVP type of dude. But, like, they have first-round picks. They really do. Like, they have a couple from the Pelicans trade that are swapped or protected, or there's some wonky stuff going on with them. But
they have their 2027. They could swap their 2028, and they have their 2029. Here is what I think that they are doing. The Lakers, even if they make that Turner and Hield trade, could run the risk of, like, LeBron maybe starting to take a step back, or Anthony Davis not being healthy. And if you knew right now that Anthony Davis was just not going to be healthy, would you do that trade? No, because you just aren't at the level of being a competitive team. The only way that trade makes them a serious contender is if LeBron is still, you know, like full force, like, you know, like he was last year, which I think will happen, but he's starting to get older too, so the injuries could come along. You need Darvin Ham to be serious and all your other role players to be serious. You need the offense to look better and the defense to have a little bit more juice. You need Anthony Davis to look more like himself because he wasn't last year.
yeah,
What I think they're doing is they're saying, okay, let's see it. Let's see the rest of let's see the team be a Buddy Hield and a Miles Turner away.
Right.
And if you are showing me that, I will push it farther into the future. But if not, I'm not doing that. I'm not just like assuming that it's all going to work out. They also would not like to give up both unprotected, but I don't know if they'll be able to get away with that.
yeah, I can see that being the logic for sure. They're a team that I think could make an in-season move. The Grizzlies are a team I could see making an in-season move, considering I believe they have a lot of picks and they need a second star. Like, I think I have the Grizzlies missing the playoffs, and I said that I hard launched that take on Twitter yesterday, and no one liked it. But with the Grizzlies, like, I think everyone is basically in acknowledgement that they're gonna start the year a little slow with Jaren Jackson Jr.'s injury and two good role players being replaced with the rookies. Like, I think everybody just acknowledges, like, well, yeah, they'll start the year slow and then they'll just, you know, get good at the end. But, you know, there's a world where, you know, they don't get good at the end. Like, that's not like just like, yes, there's reason to believe that they'll get better as the year goes on, but that's not like necessarily a guarantee.
You're giving them an unbelievable benefit of the doubt, and to some extent they've earned it. But
yes.
you also have to prepare for the world where that doesn't happen. So I understand that take.
Yes.
I do think they're going to make the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot take for a reason, and every year something weird. I like to predict something weird to happen every year.
You love predicting weird things.
Every year something weird does
weird
happen.
is going to happen. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I could predict, the East will go 76ers, Bucks, you know, Nets, or Celtics. How about this? Even more lame. Celtics, Bucks, 76ers, Nets, Cavs, Heat, Hawks, Raptors.
Cavs too low, I fear.
That's how it'll go. And everyone would be like, good list, Theo. But, like, yeah, anyone could say that. Like, you could just check the Vegas odds. Oh, the West will go Warriors, Suns, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Clippers, Pelicans, Mavericks. I don't know. Who am I? Oh, the Grizzlies are the 4 seed. You
Something's
know,
up.
anyone could say these things. Everyone knows who like the favorites are, but it's not just gonna go down like that. So I always got to throw in a little bit of spice
Gotta
because
throw a wrench.
The old
You
Theo
know,
curveball.
you got to throw the curveball in. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, everyone can. You know, my 8-year-old sister. Not that I have an 8-year-old sister, but if I did,
My 11-year-old sister.
Bladen's 11-year-old sister could look at what happened last year and tell you who the expected 8 teams in the playoffs would be. But you got to throw something weird in there because something weird is gonna happen. And yeah,
It is more or less our job to do that. So
this is what it is. So yeah.
it's Vegas odds to tell you who the favorites are, and it's our job to tell you that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Or at least could be wrong.
Could be wrong.
That's the thing. Like, I think I'm probably wrong, but I think it's a shot worth taking. It's not necessarily what I think the most likely outcome is, but when you balance, like, you know something weird's going to happen. What is the most likely weird thing to happen? Like, I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like,
That
yes,
was
this
me with
isn't
that was me with the
normal.
Broncos. That was me with the Broncos. I'm like, they're gonna finish last in that division, and it was an unpopular opinion,
They're not last in the division. Right?
but they will be. They will be.
We'll see. I'm
The
right. I was
Ra-
right. I'm not
the Ra-
yet. But I
The
will be.
Raiders have the Raiders won win. Who was it against?
Well, I mean, Russ is going to miss the next couple of weeks with a hamstring injury, so you're adding Brett Rippin into this mix. So, yeah, that's not... Yeah. But,
I
yeah.
saw someone say in the chat that we're underrating Russell Westbrook a little bit, and
I really,
I don't think you can.
You know, I get the heat for like not being a super bold guy, but I'll dude, no, he cannot shoot and he cannot defend. How can you put him on the court in any serious situation as a point guard? How many good players are there in the NBA that can't shoot and can't defend? Like none. Like 0 of them.
Right. And it's not like you can expect it like, oh, he'll rebound because he's never been a good shooter. You know,
Right.
like it's just not his game. He's someone who gets to the rim with maximum efficiency. He's been a good passer in the past, like in his Thunder days. Like not all of his assists were bullshit. I think he was legitimately like a good playmaker in his Thunder days. So like maybe that comes back. But the guy is what year is he in now? It's his athleticism isn't what it used to be. He's ball dominant, and he's just not.
Like what team would go out and sign him? Maybe the Wizards.
His turnover rate was bad last year. His playmaking was bad last year. His shooting was bad last year. His defense was bad last year.
He doesn't create offensive efficiently. Like he puts up the numbers, but it's not efficient offense. So it's not really helping the team win all that much on a night-to-night basis. And he's a lineup disaster because you have to find a way to like get around the fact that your point guard is ruining your spacing and not a good defender as well. And it's like, it's just not worth it. It's just not. Like you can be good at some things. Like, yeah, he can still get to the rim and whatever, but you can be good at some things and just not be an overall good player. And that happens all the time in the NBA.
Right. And the playmaking is really what I think is the biggest difference from him in his Thunder days is like over the past couple seasons, really like since KD left, he's been at least I think maybe not a stellar like Chris Paul as a playmaker, but at least an average playmaker and passer for a point guard, a guard. Like I think that he was, but last year it was just horrible. Last year was the worst mark that he's put up in terms of like assists compared to his usage rate. It was the worst mark he's put up since 2011. So when he was, just a second ball, like he wasn't the main character. It was, KD there and all that.
And even in the world where he bounces back, let's say he does go to another team and he bounces back. Once you get to the playoffs, it's just a disaster anyway. So I think the idea, it's like, well, he could help one of these like mid-level teams that are in kind of the dead zone of the NBA maybe get over the top to the plans, but that does not make you like a top 100 player.
Right.
A winning team just does not have a use for Russ because they already have better offensive options to go to.
And that's why I like him off the bench is like, okay, you're not giving him starter minutes. You've got LeBron out there to play make. You've got AD out there. And then once the bench comes in, maybe, you know, he still has the juice to take advantage of other bench players, you know, not NBA starters, but NBA backups. Maybe then he can like turn up, like show a little bit more like he showed when he was on the Thunder or whatever, or even the Wizards. But as like a starter in this lineup, but then that's the problem is like, who's your point guard then? Dennis Schroeder? Like, you don't want Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder has all these same issues.
Those I think Beverly and Nunn is actually pretty good, but
yeah,
it's just a problem for them. And I really do not know if he would get picked up if he was cut right now.
MVP Russ was official. How long ago did Russ win the MVP?
2017.
6 years ago.
It's like 5 years ago. What are we talking about?
Well,
Right.
I don't. And look, I don't disagree. At one point, it was worth it. That's the thing that some people have gotten confused about. They're like, "Well, Russ was never good." It's like, no, that's not true.
Right. There were years from, I mean, just looking at the stats now, from 2014 to like 2018, he was like above average, like points per shot attempt and like assist rate were all like fine in those years. Like he was a good offensive player in those years and on never before seen usage rates too. So yes, like that it's not the exact same situation that it was years ago. The turnovers have gone way up. The assist rates have gone way down. The points per shot attempt have gone way down. It's not, he's way worse than he was a couple of years ago. It's not like a couple of years ago it was the same exact numbers in a different situation. No, it was way better numbers on even better, more usage rate.
Yeah, NBA fans have a big problem with like, because if you say this on Twitter, you'll get a lot of comments. It's disrespectful. You need to respect. This is an MVP we're talking about. NFL fans don't do that as much,
right?
But NBA fans, I mean, they you know, every good shot creator who's now 40 and can't play any defense should. How is he not on a team? You know, it's
right. No one was giving Matt Ryan that kind of benefit of the doubt.
Right. It's like this. Yeah,
the 2016 MVP. Respect him when he was playing the. Even though I think Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Russ is a point guard at this point, like no one gives NBA players that kind of. That's the thing about the NBA is like players have fan bases, like player fan bases in the NBA are much stronger than player fan bases in the NFL, except for like maybe Brady and Rodgers.
The Brady
like,
dick riding is.
Yeah, that's like the most. That's like any all-star NBA player has like an Aaron Rodgers level fan
Fred
base.
VanVleet.
Respect OG Anunoby, please. Yes, but yeah.
Well, before we head out, we did forget to talk about the Cowboys a little bit. I think the only thing that needs to be mentioned is Cooper Rush was never that guy. And anyone who thought that Cooper Rush might be that guy, I don't know what you were watching.
We can laugh.
They were watching the Cowboys win total.
Yeah, they checked the scores at the end of the game and they said,
"Well,
how do I know?"
There's only one way to win a game in the NFL, and that's your quarterback is better than the other team's quarterback.
I think it was very funny because like I made a video and made a tweet like, okay, here's the Cowboys offense, like yards per drive every year. Dak year, top 10. Dak year, top 10. Dak year, top 10. Dak year, top 5. Dak year, top 10. Andy Dalton year, like in the 20s. Then it's Dak year again, top 10. Cooper Rush now, in the 20s. What does this say? And people are like, I don't care about numbers. I just care about wins. Like even presented like, dude, the offense is not moving the football the same way when Dak is not the quarterback. And they see that and they're just like, I don't care about all that. It's like Dak's not a winner. You are stupid. Like you are I am not afraid if you unfollow me or you get offended by this. You are like a stupid person. If that is your takeaway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess Dak's just not a winner, man.
It's dude. Sometimes you give
comes
takes
down
on
to.
TikTok that you'll just think that's like the most reasonable thing, and you'll get people in the comments being like, "But they're
No.
winning," or they'll be like, "But how many passing yards did he have?" Or they'll just like totally like this happens on TikTok all the time. They'll just totally miss the point of your video, or you'll be like, "Now I don't think this, but blah blah blah," and then someone in the comments will be like, "So you think this?" What's wrong with you?
Where's
And
the
it's like, I
tweet?
don't-
The famous tweet that I think of literally all the time, where like Twitter is the only place, and TikTok too, where you
Yes.
can have well articulated things and people just completely misunderstand them. Like you'll say, "I love pancakes," and the comments will say, "So you hate
French
waffles."
toast? Yeah.
So
Yes.
you hate waffles. It's like no, that's a whole nother thing. Like it's
like
just
I made this video
crazy.
yesterday, and I made it 100% clear that I was not calling CJ Stroud bad. I was just saying that while you shouldn't say he's a bad quarterback because he plays for Ohio State, certainly we have seen Ohio State quarterbacks put up big numbers and not be good in the NFL. So we should not just take his Ohio State numbers at face value. And I get people stitching me. What you're missing about CJ Stroud is, it's like, no, it's like, actually, you should just watch the games. It's like, dude, I should have done that in my Ohio State hat is what I should have done. That was my mistake.
POV,
Yeah.
me talking about the Browns wearing a Browns beanie.
Yeah,
That's-
it is what it is. It is what it is. I feel like I'm impossible to gaslight just because no one will ever gaslight me like TikTok comments gaslight me. Like the
TikTok
Patrick
comments
Bateman.
gaslight.
No, he's not. Like
Use the
I can get 50 comments on a video talking about how like Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott. And it's like he's just like no, he is not. And yet this narrative is getting thrown at me over and over and over. And it happens several times with several players throughout a season. Is like there'll just be things that are just like not true. They're not true. And yet still people will like tell me like, no, dude, I'm trying to think of more times that this is, or like there'll be throws. It especially happens with this specific plays where I'll say like, he should have thrown this football. Like this is open. It's the read, and he held onto it and he took a sack. And I'll be like, actually, no, that's not what should have happened. I'm like, yes, it is. You're gaslighting me right now to a very severe degree.
You're gaslighting me right now. It's like, this was a great throw. And they're like, no, it wasn't.
with
Oh,
deep
this is
shots,
bad.
dude. As
Yeah.
long as it is completed, it's a good throw.
This
It doesn't matter if your receiver had 10 yards of separation and had to stop. It's a good throw. It
Yes.
went for a touchdown.
It happened with Zach Wilson in the Packers game where Corey Davis ran a double move. Like I said, Zach Wilson he's awful. He's playing horrible in this game. Then like right after I say that, of course, Corey Davis runs a double move. He's got 5 yards of separation. Literally, as Wilson is winding up, you hear the announcer say, he's got Corey Davis wide open down the field. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. By the time it's completed, it's a contested throw because Zach Wilson underthrew it so badly. And then it gets completed and all the Jets fans are like, Theo won't talk about that throw. I'm like, did you see what just happened?
The classic is, I don't think this guy's arm talent is that great. Oh, yeah? Watch him step into this 50-yard throw.
Right. Watch him throw this Hail Mary. This throw went 50 yards in the air. I always think it's so funny that I have thrown it 45 yards before. There's video of me doing it. 45 yards. I have no definition in my arms, okay? I'm not a strong person. I can throw it 45 yards. And then there'll be like a 50-yard throw that an NFL quarterback hits, and they'll be like, how dare you say he has a weak arm?
I do think that we need
that is 5 yards longer than I
think
can
we need to
throw, man.
reevaluate what a long throw is in the NFL.
It's not because it's not about how like far down the field you can get it really. They're thinking of like bazooka in Madden with Mahomes. It's
Yes.
about like how quick the ball gets where
You
it's
need to be
going.
thinking
Yes.
about the What's the ability that Rodgers has in Madden? Rodgers has an ability where
The CPU can't intercept it if he.
not his X factor.
that one is not real.
No, Rodgers has the fastest release in the game because he has an ability that when he throws the ball, it moves faster. That's what you want. That's what you want, and most guys don't have that, I fear.
It's the Herbert throws. It's the Herbert throws where it's just on a line, or the Allen throws. It just goes in a straight line and it's still accurate. And that's the thing. Like hard throwers versus soft throwers, it's a difference. There's a big difference there. If there was a net, right, and I said throw it into the net, no one would throw it as hard as they can at the net, right? They would try to loft it, and then they would try to to throw something
like a basketball shot,
they would. That's how you would throw it with accuracy. But when you can just whip that thing as hard as you can and throw it like a dime, that is extremely valuable, and that is what people do not understand.
In the NFL, and you can get away with it in college. Like that's probably the number one thing that turns a good college quarterback into a bad NFL quarterback, is not having the velocity. And that's why all these like group of 5 guys, it's like he threw 6,000 yards and 1,000,000 touchdowns. It's like he does not have the arm strength to make that work in the NFL.
And that's the thing with like Zappe. Like there was a pick versus the Lions where he threw just a slant, and the ball literally dies on the slant. Like you can see it dip on the slant. And when the wide receiver tries to catch it, he's catching it at his knees. And when he's running, then his knee comes up and hits the ball, and it pops up into the air. And it's like, well, like Herbert would throw that and it would hit his chest, not his knees, because he can throw that bullet over the middle of the field and it won't die on him. Zappe has as nice as Zappe has been in the numbers he's put up, like that guy does not have the arm strength to fit it in windows over the middle of the field. And if you look at his passing charts, like go look at the middle of the field. That's all I'll say. Go look at Bailey Zappe's passing charts over the past 2 weeks and look at the middle of the field, because there's not a whole lot there. It's sideline stuff. It's not closing windows because there's no defenders on the sideline, right? It's just the sideline. So it's like Zappe can throw it toward like these crossing routes, and there's
to be fair, the Browns defenders aren't closing anywhere on the field. So
neither are the Lions. The Lions and the Browns are the 2 worst defenses in football in terms of EPA per play, and that's who Zappe's played. So like Zappe's arm is not actually like there. It will get exposed eventually. So yeah,
the Patriots, they just totally need a quarterback. I think Belichick totally knows. He's just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Bro's dealing with Mac Jones and Mac Jones Sr. and Mac Jones Jr. Those are his quarterbacks right now.
And I kind of expected, it's obviously not over, but I kind of expected the Mac Jones saga to go on a little bit longer than this. But it's just, and I know he's hurt, and I think he'll come back, and I think they'll start him still. Zappe had 300 yards. He did. So he is good.
He did.
He is a great
and he made some good throws.
He made 300 yards.
He made some good throws. Like there was a play where he checked the front side. It was 3-by-1, and the 3 side was running stick. So that means the outside guy is running a clear out, and then there's 2 guys running out routes, right? And he read that. He didn't like it. And then he got to the backside, which was just the one guy running a slant, and he hit the slant in a kind of a tight window on the backside. And it's like, okay, that's good. Like anytime you hit the backside, anything, like, oh, you read the whole field, which is good, and the ball was somewhat accurate on the slant, right? But like, can you hit the backside dig? Because the dig is like a slant but longer, right? Can you do that? Can you hit something with like watch Brady? Like Brady hit a throw to Godwin over the middle of the field. It was Tampa 2, and so the linebacker's dropping back, and then there's 2 high safeties, and there's a point like behind the dropping linebacker in between the safeties, and Brady threw like a crazy pass to Godwin this week. Yeah. Like those are the kinds of throws, and we'll never think about that pass from Brady ever again because he's got so many other highlights. There's like 5 passes from Josh Allen, 6, 7, and Mahomes in the Bills versus Chiefs game that are like incredible passes and will just like they just fade with time, But if a young quarterback hits them, people freak out over it because like those are the high level throws. But you got to hit them over and over and over and over and over again, multiple times per
Brady's
game.
been doing it his entire career, even back to college. He reads the field lightning. Like
Rodgers played like dog shit in the last game, and he still had 2 like throws that would keep a rookie quarterback like people like it would earn a backup quarterback a 10-year contract if they hit these throws. And it was like one of Rodgers' worst games, or 2 of them against the Jets. Like you have to hit some like elite quarterbacks hit these tight window throws over and over and over again in games. And like Zappy hasn't really hit one yet. And even Mac Jones, I've seen hit him in college, and even last year he hit him a little bit. So you stick with Mac Jones, but Jones doesn't quite have the arm to do it like over and over and over again like the top flight quarterbacks do. So,
well, we're running short on time. So Matt, before we get out, you got to give us an NBA opening night hot take.
1 million Tyrese Maxey points.
You heard it here first.
Alternate line Tyrese Maxey million points. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any.
76ers win convincingly is my hot take for tonight.
Right.
Okay. That's a good one.
All right. Fun. I like that. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to another Stay Hot live stream. Make sure you check out Theo's All 22. I assume it's going to be rookie corners.
No, I'm doing it on quarterback. I'm sick of watching cornerback film. It's my least favorite film to watch. So I'm taking a week and I'm watching quarterbacks in college.
Valid.
So
valid. And then Matt, I don't know what your video's on. I never know what anyone's video's on. I'm a fake.
I think 7 things to watch for NBA. I should go tweet about that or something.
Yeah.
7. Just some narratives I'm watching.
Well, go watch Matt's video that came out today. Theo's video coming out soon. And then I'm starting a Face of the Franchise with me at receiver in Madden coming out Friday. So make sure you check all those things out. But, as always, tons of content coming to all platforms. Hope you all enjoy this wonderful NBA opening night. And until next time, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flip.